Some of the scenes on Zeta were is it Zeta? That's the planet that we're on. Yeah. I can't remember. I don't read anything other than my own script. It was down in this old half-finished arsenal down in Rosemount, Minnesota.
Rosemount. It was cold. It was cold and rainy and drizzly, and it wasn't as much fun.
Yeah, it was initially very sweaty, dirty, dusty work, and then at the end of it, it was chilly, dirty, dusty work. So there was some consistency in that.
It's a really cool location. There's lots of really interesting half-built and half-demolished buildings.
There's this huge open area that has a bunch of buildings that were built during the Second World War to make bullets and bombs for the U.S. military. They started to build it, and then they stopped because the war was over. And so there are all these great, weird-looking buildings, smokestacks that have no furnaces attached to them. These things that are meant to hold water tanks that have no water tanks in them.
But they did have space potatoes, and that was great. That was really cool. I think it's the coolest. I think it's the coolest thing that anybody's doing in this movie is peeling space potatoes, and we're doing it. So
in the brig, even.
Yeah, just sweet.
We ended up shooting, I think, four projects there now.
This is where he takes the drink of water.
Maybe you should stand there and get me.
Yeah.
Over here, though, don't you?
Well, yeah, but it's still coming out. Yeah, okay.
Just act, okay?
Al Struthers, who plays Ugly in the film, was living in Winona at the time and was familiar with some locations down there that we thought that we could use. So we did a little journey down there to check one of them out. And that was the historic Pickwick Mill, which was built in 1846, making it one of the oldest industrial sites in Minnesota. They created flour and hardtack and things like that for the Civil War, so they were very active during that period, which is perfect because sort of the look of the spaghetti westerns is based on the precept that you're just post-Civil War. So an 1846 building was really just money in the bank for us, and there's not a whole lot of that around here. On top of that, the materials that it was made out of harkened back to desert Southwest-y type Spanish mission architecture, even though it was dead center in the middle of Minnesota. Get a great location, ideally one that you can trade for rather than pay for. In the case of the mill, what we did was to barter them a documentary of their own building. We said, oh, I know it was open to the public. We said, how about we create a little travelogue video for you that you can sell in your gift shop. What we then had to do was to transit a handful of the actors down to Winona, and we stayed at Al's house down there, and that was fun, a little sleepover. We were out there at the mill for 2 days, dodging tourists, touring the facility. We'd just have to shoot a little bit, then there'd be somebody clomping down the heavy wooden stairs. They'd walk by a bunch of people in spaghetti western costumes and space monk costumes and wonder what exactly was going on.
Now, if you'll excuse me, our evening service is about to begin.